On today's show, we are joined by Jason Scarpa, the founder of the Mainstreet Tavern in Broken Arrow, Oklahoma, the owner of the In the Raw Sushi restaurant and bar in Broken Arrow, Oklahoma, the founder of the Rooftop restaurant in Broken Arrow, Oklahoma, and the owner of the Stogie's Cigar House and Cocktails restaurant, also located in Broken Arrow, Oklahoma. And on today's show, Jason Scarpa is joined with the mayor of Broken Arrow, Mayor Craig Thurmond, to share about what it's like to run a restaurant right here in the middle of America. If you want to open a restaurant, if you've ever thought about owning a restaurant, or maybe you do own a restaurant, you're going to love this show. And if you're somebody who just loves freedom and you love America and you love a success story, this is the show for you. All this and more on today's edition of the Thrive Time Show on your radio and podcast download.
Some shows don't need a celebrity narrator to introduce the show, but this show does. 2 men, 8 kids, co-created by 2 different women, 13 multi-million-dollar businesses. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Thrive Time Show.
Now, 3, 2, 1, here we go!
Started from the bottom, now we here. Started from the bottom, and we'll show you how to get here. Started from the bottom, now we here. We started from the bottom, now we here. Started from the bottom, now we here. Started from the bottom.
Yes, and yes! Mayor Craig Thurmond, welcome back onto the Thrive Time Show. How are you, sir?
I'm great. How are you doing, Clay?
I'm always a little bit better when you come inside the studio. It's a beautiful Monday. I'm sure you've had a busy start to your week. As the mayor, what does it look like on a Monday for you?
Well, the city, again, it's a volunteer position, so I don't have that many city items happening today. It just depends on the week. I mean, sometimes I'm sure it'll pick up, tomorrow, getting ready for city council meeting tomorrow night. So we got a few items, had a couple phone calls, but it's a lot of paint work today, which is good.
Now, I understand that you had a little bit of involvement there, Mayor Craig, in helping to develop what is known as the Rose District, or downtown Broken Arrow. What has been your involvement in helping to develop the Rose District, or your lack of involvement in developing the Rose District?
Well, we started out in 2004 with our downtown master plan. That was the concept that we came up with to try and do something downtown. But the Rose District really has been the last probably 8 years or so. In fact, Jason, who's on today, was there before it was even the Rose District. He started his Mainstreet Tavern when we had nothing there, and so it was definitely a leap of faith for him, and he really took off and got it started.
Are you telling me that today's guest is connected to the Mainstreet Tavern? What's this
Yes.
guy's role with the Mainstreet Tavern?
He's the owner of Mainstreet Tavern.
Oh, wow, I'm getting nervous now. Okay, Jason Scarpa, welcome on to the Thrive Time Show. How are you?
Hi, Clay. I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Hey, I got to ask you, I love your food there. I love your restaurant. Do you have other restaurants or the one restaurant? Or?
We have several in downtown Broken Arrow.
Tell us about them.
Now the Rose District. So you mentioned Mainstreet Tavern. Right above that, we actually have a private event space called Mainstreet Loft where we do parties and catering. We have the Broken Arrow location of In the Raw Sushi.
That's your restaurant too?
Yes.
Okay.
And then above In the Raw, we have the Rooftop.
Really?
Which is a pizza place, and we have a large outdoor patio.
Is it called the Rooftop Eatery, or what do you call it?
Just call it the Rooftop.
So you're the founder of the Mainstreet Tavern. You're the owner of In the Raw Broken Arrow.
Yes.
Are you the founder of the Rooftop concept?
Yes, that was my concept. In the Raw was around before me, so I kind of bought into that franchise.
Yep.
But I invented the Rooftop concept, and then we also bought Stogie's Cigar House and Cocktails across the street down there, and that was a pre-existing business before we took over.
And you're the owner of the Stogie's?
Yes, Stogie's Cigar House.
How do you
and
spell
Cocktails.
that?
Stogies.
Stogie's Cigar House and Cocktail?
Yep.
Okay.
And we have a Facebook page and Instagram, so if people search for it.
And so Stogie's Cigar House and Cocktails? Is that what it's called?
Yes, and that's our only location that doesn't serve food.
Do you know that nobody makes money in the restaurant industry? I mean, apparently you've not read the headlines here. You always hear people say, oh, man, you never want to start a restaurant because you just can't make it. It seems like you're doing well. I mean,
well, one of my favorite restaurant jokes is, how do you make a small fortune in the restaurant business? And the answer is you start with a large fortune.
Right, there you go. That's
Unfortunately, that wasn't my case, but it's challenging. It's a very low profit margin business, so we have to run it tightly. But luckily, we have great local support from the mayor and the community at large.
So let's say I go into I have been to the Mainstreet Tavern. I've been there a lot. I've probably been there maybe 20 times, maybe. You know?
Great.
I've been to the Rooftop. I'd say maybe a dozen times. I sort of live in Andolini's. I feel like I live there. I've been to the in the Raw one time. My wife's just not a big sushi fan, but I like the restaurant. You gotta have you have to wow the customer, and the customer has to want to come back. But there also has to be an economic environment that's friendly, one where people feel safe, one where people feel like they want to go down there and look for something to eat or something to do. You've moved into what is now known as the Rose District a long time ago. Were you the first restaurateur to move in there, or one of the first ones? Or?
I believe so. Yeah, we opened in May of 2011, and I mean it's amazing how far the Rose District has come since then.
Has Mayor Craig made the Rose District worse or better?
Infinitely better.
How?
I couldn't. Well, when I first went down there, started scouting around, it was kind of a ghost town. I even have this picture I found that I took during our build out, and it showed the whole block, and there was not one person or car on the whole street. And now you go down there today, and it's just such a thriving area of town where it's very family friendly. People can enjoy it, and part of the reason, well, actually the main reason I decided to open there before the Rose District happened was because the mayor and city council and others shared their vision for what they saw the area becoming, and they have followed through on that and delivered perfectly.
What specifically are a couple things you've seen Mayor Craig Thurmond do that have been friendly for your business?
Well, I see him in my businesses a lot, so
Okay.
that's the best thing. But he's very accessible to me. It's one great thing I like about Broken Arrow, even though we're the fourth largest city in Oklahoma. It still has that small town feel where I can go and interact with the mayor. He listens very well. He's very caring. Even this year, when the pandemic was hitting and everybody, all the governments were trying to decide what to do, Mayor Thurmond actually reached out to me, and I'm sure other business owners, to get our thoughts on the situation, and he factored things like that into his decisions, which is extremely helpful.
What did that conversation look like? I mean, did he call you up and is he? Because again, a lot of people don't get a chance to talk to their mayor, and I keep hearing more and more people tell me that Mayor Craig is great to work with. But you know this guy over here. He will not grab a megaphone and talk about how great he is. He doesn't put billboards up that talk about how humble he is. He doesn't. He's a very humble guy. So I would like to give you a chance to share what the conversations are like. I mean, a lot of people just have no idea what that conversation would look like.
We've had a lot of good conversations over the years since going back to before we opened Mainstreet Tavern. But humble is a great word to describe him.
Yeah.
He is incredibly smart and thoughtful, very well researched on how city governments should run and what's going on locally at the state and national level.
I want to get into your restaurant for a second if we can here. Let's say that I go in there. Craig, when you go in there, do you go in there by yourself in his restaurants, or do you go with a group of people?
No, I don't think I've ever been there by myself. I always go with a group of people or have lunch there or dinner there. There's always because the food's so good, so it's really a good place to bring people.
James, let's say we're just going in with ourselves.
I went there with
Yourself and
Pastor Bill.
myself. You did?
Yeah, I went there with Pastor Bill.
You did. You went to the tavern?
Yeah, Mainstreet Tavern.
Okay, so you go in there with Pastor Bill, the two of you guys.
And Chris Hart, and then there was one other.
Chris Hart.
Okay.
Is it reasonable that somebody would drop $50 in there, Jason? Does that sound reasonable? $50 for three people to eat there?
Yes.
That's reasonable?
Yeah, we try to keep the prices as low as possible because we build our business on regulars.
Now let's talk about this for a second. What kind of margin can somebody make in the restaurant business? Are you like 15%, 10%, 20%? We have a lot of business owners that listen to this. What's the number you want to shoot for?
Well, the statistics show that the average independent restaurant, and those who make it, of course, make 4 to 6% profit margin.
Are you serious?
Yeah. So everything has to go smoothly.
Wait
to
a minute.
turn a
So
profit.
so you're saying if I go in and I'm spending $50, you're saying making 3 is a goal? Making $3?
Yeah, maybe $250. We usually round.
Are
off
you
to
serious?
5%.
So how many customers do you have to see per month? I mean, how many customers do you have to see? Because you have a
Thousands.
beautiful build out,
Yep.
great decor. I mean, you've spared no expense in terms of making the experience great for all the restaurants, all the brands. I'm not just saying that because you're here. I go there. Andrew, you know this. I talk about it all the time. This is where we go. How do you ever make any money?
It's challenging, especially in a year like this.
How do you get your first 10 customers? Did you get out a megaphone? Did you run up and down the street yelling discounts on food, discounts on food? I mean, how did you get your first 10 customers?
You know, it's funny you asked about the Rose District before it became the Rose District. And when I first told people I was going to open a restaurant on Main Street in Broken Arrow, everybody asked, well, where's that? And I've never been there before, even though I've lived in Broken Arrow for however many years. So it was a lot of word of mouth marketing, social media. We've tried everything from billboards to newspaper ads, and just kind of refined our advertising over
What
the
did
years.
you do before you got into the restaurant business?
I worked at IBM for 13 years in Atlanta, Georgia. So I did all different things there, operations, IT.
How did you go from IBM to restaurants? I mean, one day were you programming a computer and you thought, wow, it reminds me of sweet potato French fries. I should probably. Where do you make that jump?
Well, when I decided to move to Oklahoma, I knew I wanted to start my own business. So when I got here, it was just a matter of doing research and figuring out what I wanted to do. I had always waited tables off and on throughout my life, either as a primary job or a second or a part-time job. But I enjoy the business. I love seeing customers having a good time in there.
Now, Mayor Craig has done a good job of keeping Broken Arrow open. I mean, he's been focusing on hospitalizations and deaths, not just the number of COVID cases. He's been looking at that. Therefore, Broken Arrow, has been really open. Every time I drive downtown, it seems like the parking lots are full, restaurants are full. Are sales up for you now this year? This year versus last year, roughly. I mean, are you seeing it bounce back in Broken Arrow, or what are you seeing?
Yes, we are on about par with last year, maybe
Got it.
up a little bit.
Yeah.
The weather has been much nicer this year, so we've had a lot of great patio days.
Now, James, you're from Manhattan.
That's right.
How's it going in Manhattan? What's the incredible mayor there, de Blasio, doing with the restaurants in New York City?
Well, when I was there a couple months ago, it was a disaster. You're going to love this. Jason, is that your name?
Yes.
Jason. So they would have people who were standing have to wear a mask, and then if you're sitting right where you're standing, you don't have to wear a mask.
Well, because the virus is tall.
Yeah, and then if you like the guy in Brahms, the guy in Brahms.
Yeah.
Okay. So there was a
But backstory real quick.
yeah.
I was in Brahms, a local ice cream and hamburger place. And these two older guys I don't know if they'd had a few adult beverages before going to Brahms, but they were talking about how the virus was tall. And they were trying to explain to this young guy, you got to sit down because then you can take off the mask, because the virus, it's a tall virus. And as long as you duck down, you can duck underneath the virus. And this kid's like, okay, this young guy. And they were sitting there educating this kid about the virus being tall. Okay, back to you. So
And was the young guy taking it seriously?
I think the kid that they were talking is probably 9 or 8. And these older guys were there. I think it was some sort of sporting event, maybe after a football game or something. There's a bunch of kids there, and they're like, buddy, you got to get down low because the virus can't get you down there. That was a real conversation I observed. Okay, back to you.
So that's the one. There's one arbitrary thing. And then another one was if you order an adult beverage, you have to order food with it. But if you don't order an adult beverage, you don't have to order food with it.
Makes sense. I mean,
And actually, they shut down one of my local spots that I went
Get
to
outta
there
here.
because the person wouldn't order food or they didn't have food on the table, and they just had drinks. And they've fined him $35,000.
are you doing that?
In order
Is
to
that
get
happening to you in Broken Arrow there, Jason? Is Mayor Craig fining you $35,000 for?
Thankfully, no.
Do you have friends and family that run restaurants in different parts of the country?
Yes, I know some people in the business, and I was up by New York earlier this year, and have some friends in the business. And
Where?
they're
Where were you?
I was in Philadelphia, south and north New Jersey, and some of them have businesses in New York City.
Yeah.
And
Gotcha.
it's bad for them.
And you never really know how much a local mayor can impact your life until it happens. So I guess my question I have for you is, on a scale of 1 to 10, you're a business owner. A 10 says, hey, I'm voting for Mayor Craig Thurmond next time around. I love this guy. A 1 is, I don't like him. For some reason, I don't like the guy. I'm not voting for him. To tell us, are you big pro Mayor Craig Thurmond guy at this point, or
I'd give him a 10.
10?
Yeah.
Why?
If I couldn't go above that. He's very thoughtful, selfless. He cares about the community. I'm amazed at how much time and effort Mayor Thurmond puts into this job. I call it a job, but it's really a volunteer position.
Amen.
I mean, I've served on boards with him. The amount of time, the trips he takes,
Unpaid. Zero. Just so we're clear, in Broken Arrow, the mayor receives 0 compensation, which, if you round that up, it's still 0. Okay, continue.
And it's a difficult job. Sometimes you're in a position where you have to make a decision, and not everybody is going to be happy. So
Right.
for him to deal with all those things for the good of the city, for no pay, I just have the utmost trust and confidence in him.
Mayor Craig, we're going to give you a mega point. Mega point, sir. I love living in Broken Arrow. I love how much you've stand up for our constitutional rights, how much you have helped make this economy grow. It's just great to see these thriving businesses. I mean, downtown Broken Arrow is booming. Is that fair to say, Jason? It's booming?
Yes, it's booming.
It's booming. And Mayor Craig, how does that make you feel, sir, to see the vision come to fruition?
It makes me feel great. I go down there with my wife. We talk about, and she even said, it's got to feel good that all these people are down here and all this traffic's down here and everyone's having a good time, enjoying themselves. I love having music on the street. It's really something special.
Mayor Craig, you're a great American, and by the way, you have a career in modeling. I think if the whole mayor thing doesn't work out for you, if you don't win this next term, you can always fall back in modeling. Have you ever spent time doing modeling?
No.
I know you were in the Marines.
No, yes, I was in the Marines.
You just skipped right from Marines into mayorship. You never went into the hand modeling career?
No,
or the mayor?
no.
It's interesting. Jason, can you believe that? I mean, have you believed he's not a male model at this point?
Hard to believe.
Hard to believe. All right. Well, we like to end each and every show with a boom. And folks, if you are in need of a hand model or a mayor, don't call our guy. We like our guy here in Broken Arrow. Mayor Craig Thurmond is not available. Do not call him. We'll wait for if you win the next election, sir. Is this your final?
This is my final one. It'll be the last 4 years.
So where can we vote? Where can we vote? When can we vote? How does it work?
April 6th, 2021. Anywhere that any of your polls.
April 6th, 2021. Vote for Mayor Craig Thurmond. Now, without any further ado, we like to end each and every show with a boom. So here we go. 3, 2, 1, boom.
Boom.